Hi, I'm Tanja Hayes. Let's learn some more economics. In fact, specifically, let's take a look at perfect competition versus the monopoly and how they kind of compare and why it is that we tend to kind of prefer perfect competition over the monopoly. So let's draw a usual diagram. Here we have our quantity as always, and then we'll have dollar stuff up here. Let's start by drawing the marginal cost curve. Remember what that looks like? Basically like a check mark, mostly upward sloping. This is our marginal cost curve. Now, remember, in perfect competition, the price is given by the market and it just is some price, whatever it is. So if the price was here, let's do this. If the price was here, that would be the marginal revenue, and so therefore they would produce this quantity. If the price was here, they would produce this quantity. If the price was here, they would produce this quantity, because all of these prices are the marginal revenue for the perfect competition. So in perfect competition, you could think of this idea that any given point on the marginal cost curve is how much they would want to produce. In other words, the marginal cost curve is the supply curve in perfect competition. So this is the supply for the perfect competition situation. All right, so now we know and trust, and we might have to think about that some more, but this is the case. The marginal cost curve is the supply curve for perfect competition. Also, let's add a demand curve. Oh my gosh, look at that. We're spelling it out this time. So we got supply and demand, basically. And then we're also going to think about the monopolist. If we were a monopolist selling this item, we would have this demand curve, and we would also have a marginal revenue curve that is, remember, below it and steeper. So the marginal revenue curve for the monopolist would be here for the monopolist. Okay, so now we're going to kind of compare and contrast what's the profit maximizing quantity and price for each scenario. So for perfect competition, we know that supply and demand, that's what's going to determine the price. So if this is the supply curve and this is the demand curve, then this would be the price for perfect competition, and this would be the quantity they would be producing, quantity for perfect competition. So that's just the equilibrium. Okay, now let's take a look at the monopolist and how they would produce and price. So they're looking at where their marginal cost curve intersects the marginal revenue curve. Oh, so that's here. So this is the quantity for the monopolist. It's a little bit less. And is the price at least lower? No. Remember, they're going to price according to the demand curve, so they're going to set the price up here. So this is the price for the monopolist. So we can see pretty clearly here that the monopolist will produce less and will charge more. Also, we might remember from previously about this that the monopolist also makes a profit in the long run and does not produce at the minimum average total cost. So these are all kind of strikes against the monopolist. So if we want to summarize a little bit about the monopolist, they produce a lower quantity, they charge a higher price, higher P, and also, I didn't show this now, but we know from previously that they have a higher average total cost. They do not produce at that minimum average total cost. And they might be making, they can at least, making a profit in the long run because no one's going to jump in and join in and lower the price and drive down the profit because they can't, because it's a monopoly. So these are all the things that are true about the monopolist compared to the perfect competition. And lastly, if we are looking also at the old concept that you might or might not remember about consumer surplus and producer surplus and deadweight loss, we would basically be looking at the quantity here at perfect competition compared to this lower quantity for the monopolist. And notice that all of this triangular area is consumer surplus and producer surplus that's lost. And so this is dead weight loss as well. So that's another thing. It all kind of adds together to show that these are the reasons why, in general, as a society, we try to reduce the monopolies because they have too much power, they charge higher prices, less quantity, etc. And so we try to have a little bit more perfect competition kind of added in there. Now, remember though, side note, this is about reality, not economics. more quantity isn't always better. I mean, housing, yeah, more housing we needed for people, but more plastic items that are going to be transported and polluting the world, and it's going to go in a landfill, more is not always better. So we got to be careful about that too. But in general, these are the graphs, and these are the justifications for why monopolies are not always the favorite. All right, thank you so much. See you soon.